friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are reading some romances by Black authors. This is one of my favorite genres, so there's no way I could let February pass without getting into some Black romance books, okay? So I'm not even gonna hold you with this long intro. Let's just go ahead and see what I got up to with these books. Okay, it's time for us to talk about Love Under Contract by Nina High. And in this, we are following Charisse, and she steps out of a job interview and she runs into this guy, Drew, who she ended up meeting the night before, and they really hit it off. And she thought she'd never see him again, but she runs into him after this job interview. And Drew has a proposal for Charisse, okay? And this proposal is that they will get married. They'll follow this plan of scheduled kisses, coordinated social media posts, and convince everybody that they are in love because Drew needs to settle down in order to inherit the family company. And Charisse needs money to pay off her student loans and to, get through life because it's hard out here. So, of course, they go into this marriage inconvenience and then realize that, real feelings are starting to occur and they might actually like each other. I was immediately, all caps, obsessed with the characters and the tone and the writing in this book. It just really sucked me in right away. I was laughing out loud, actually, and I was just here for it. I was having a good time from the start. I really love when side characters are the breakout stars in the books, okay? And Porsche, whatever her name is, was one of those characters. She was wild, all caps, and absolutely hilarious. And I really enjoyed her. And I'm super excited that she actually has her own book in this series. I think it's book 3. But I already know that her book is going to be just a complete mess because that's who she is as a person. And I like that she never changed her personality. She didn't let up. She didn't change for anybody. And she was a good friend to Charisse. But also a little off too. I was giggling so much and having such a good time that I was just convinced that this was going to be a 5-star for me. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let you know that it didn't end up being a 5-star. I think I rated this, let me check. Yeah, it ended up being a 4-star, but it was such a strong, good 4-star that I'm not even mad at it. I'm not. Drew pissed me off a couple of times. He did. He pissed me off because he was going back and forth too much. He was going back and forth too much, and he was trying entirely too hard to not like Charisse. Like, why would you want to try that hard? Just get in. You know you like her. You know she like you, and you still fighting tooth and nail to just hold on to what? Being lonely. It got very annoying at a certain point, and then there was so much family drama in this, and I felt so bad for Charisse that she was just caught up in the middle of this bull crap, and like baby girl didn't know what she was getting into when she, got into this marriage of convenience. And it was a lot, friend. It was a lot. And one thing about me is that I will always have a hang up when it comes to billionaire romances. Like, as much as I want to like cut my brain off and be like, okay, this is not realistic, it just the whole concept of a billionaire, especially in today's world, just does not sit right with my spirit. And I keep reading them for whatever reason and keep thinking that I'm going to be able to fully turn it off. And for some of them I can't, because I have rated, I know of at least one off the top of my head, Billionaire Romance, a 5 star, and that was Love Redesigned. I think that was Billionaire, maybe. He had a lot of money regardless, but most of the time, it there's always going to be that hang up for me when it comes to billionaires because I'm like, and it's fine just having the knowledge that they're billionaires, but then we start seeing them spend money like billionaires, and the things that Drew was doing for Charisse, he was acting like a billionaire. And while I would love to have that treatment, like I said, I don't think I would be comfortable with it, and Charisse wasn't comfortable with it, to a certain extent, and I can understand that. It's just something I'm gonna always go back and forth with, honestly. But I am for sure going to be continuing on with this series because I ate this book up. I had a great time, and I cannot wait to read the rest of the books probably this year. I'm not even gonna hold you. I think I'm going to be making my way through this series because, like most romance series, it ends off with a Christmas novella. So I'm hoping that by the time December gets here, I am caught up enough to just end off everything on that novella. Because, friends, if you haven't picked up this series or read this book, I think you should give it a shot. It was so fun. I had a great time. So, yeah. Moving on. All right, so let's talk about the marriage narrative. And in this, we follow Xenia, who is an ambitious, successful businesswoman who is not about to wait around for her one true love. She turns her dating profile into a marriage merger proposal. A few strategic meetings, move in together, get married all within 30 days. Her friends think it will never work until she meets Jordan, a near perfect applicant with a big secret. Jordan's family has spent the last decade starring in a massively popular reality show about their lives. He has finally agreed to join the cast, but production wants him to marry an actress who happens to be his ex in a romantic storyline to boost viewership. And convinced Xenia is perfect for the role instead, Jordan proposes a mutually beneficial marriage agreement. She gets her business partner husband, and he gets to help his family on his terms. Together, they face strict schedules, wild plot twists, and behind the scenes hostilities, all while acting like besotted newlyweds. An intense performance that evolves into a relationship they never expected. All right, y'all. All right. Okay. So let's start off by saying I get I get the reasoning behind Xenia's plan. But like, girl, this is crazy. There is no way, marriage contract, merger or not, that I would want to meet somebody and marry them within 30 days. Like, that's wild. There is no way for you to know enough about a person to be comfortable marrying them in 30 days. No, that's just not realistic to me at all. Friend, I don't know. Mm-mm. But I also feel like her friends, Grace and Fiona, were are a little. They started off a little iffy to me because I just feel like, yes, this is a wild plan. Yes, you need to be worried about your friend, but they were just also like a little harsh about it. And to not be spoilery, they were part of the reason why she even concocted this plan anyway. And so for them to be so harsh about it, I ain't like that. Like I said, I think it's foolish too. But there's a way to say that without just being rude. So, and because of all of this, I felt like while I was reading, for me to even be able to be here with this book, I had to go into fairy tale land because none of this is like realistic in any sense of it. And I'm just like, I can't even try to make it make sense because sometimes, you try to put yourself in the character's shoes to try to make it make sense. And you're like, I can't do this. I couldn't do that with Xenia. I couldn't put my mind there because there was no way this was going to make sense to me. So I just had to go all the way to fairy tale land, which is fine, but we had to do it. I knew we were going into this having a reality show. Like, I knew that. Okay, I did. I was not, though, expecting this family to be as mean as they were. I was thinking, maybe a little Run's house, maybe even a little like Kardashian energy, but these people were mean. They were just mean to Xenia for no reason. Like, they had just met her. She had just walked up. They know nothing about her. And I get they would shake you a little bit, like, yo, family member is married to somebody you ain't never met before, and it just kind of happened. Like, I get you'll be skeptical of that person or whatever, but they were just so unnecessarily mean. We had to have some kind of conflict, right? But I just wasn't expecting them to be that mean. So of course they came around eventually, but there was no resolution to that at all. They just started being nice to Xenia, and I'm like, no, because there was no reason for them to be mean in the first place, but we should have had some steps, some kind of apology, some kind of something. It was just like, oh, we just started, being nice to her. And that is that very much aligns with a lot of Black families. Like, the apologies don't really happen in Black families, and I'm not saying it's right because it's not right, but it very much tracks with Black family behavior because they do not be wanting to apologize to you. They just gonna be nice to you and hope you forget what happened. So I guess that's what I guess that's where we were going with it. There was a wedding scene, and I'm not gonna tell you whose wedding it was, what the situation was, because I feel like that's a little spoiler. But there was a wedding, and this wedding was extra for no reason, and I hated that even happened. It was embarrassing. It was very embarrassing, and I hated it. Like, I wish that it was so cringe to me, and I just kind of wish that we didn't need that. We didn't. My rating for this is going to be a 3-star. And part of that is because I just really did not feel the connection between Xenia and Jordan. And I believed that they liked each other as people. I believed that they were on track to be like really good friends and that they cared about the other person's well-being and all that kind of stuff. But when it boiled down to them actually being in a relationship together, it felt questionable to me. I wasn't quite sure that I believed it. And I wanted to so bad. Like, I really wanted to be rooting for them and I really wanted to believe it, but I just had a hang up. And I don't know what the hang up was, but maybe it was their chemistry or something that I felt lacking. I don't know, friend, but I had a hard time believing Xenia and Jordan. We know that Xenia went into this looking for a business partner husband, essentially. And she thought that Jordan was perfect for this, right? And he answered all the questions. They had all the conversations or whatever, but he didn't tell her about the reality show aspect until after that part, okay? So once she found out about the reality show and how he essentially wanted a business partner wife, Xenia was upset. Not only was she upset, she was big mad. And I'm like, how? Make it make sense. Because how are you mad that he wants the exact same thing that you want? There's just a reality show element to it. And it sounded like you wanted him to have feelings for you, but you not really have those feelings for him. Because otherwise, why would you be mad that somebody is wanting the exact same thing that you want? So that was the whole point. It didn't make sense why she was as upset as she was. I still, think if this sounds interesting to you, you should pick it up. And yeah, let's go to the next book. Okay, y'all. So I have finished dating Jessica Brown and I have some thoughts. So the synopsis of this says Jessica Brown can write a love story. She just can't seem to live one. At 35, she's juggling deadlines, writer's block, and her too honest best friend Adrian. When he pushes her onto a dating app, Jessica expects creeps, bad wine, and worse conversations. What she doesn't expect is for her fiction to start bleeding into reality. The dates she invents on the page begin to show up in real life, sometimes word for word. And when she matches with Sophie, a whimsical bookseller with secrets, and Monique, a confident gentle stud with a guarded heart, Jessica realizes the universe might be turning her drafts into destiny. And this is described as a witty, whimsical, sapphic rom com about bad dates, blurred lines, and the courage to risk rewriting your own ending. All right, if you watched my February TBR, then I was super excited. It just seemed like something that I would really enjoy, and so I was excited to get around to it. And yeah, so to start off, I thought that the author's note to this, there's something in my eyeball. There we go, it was an eyelash. Okay, but anyway, the author's note for this was like really beautiful in my opinion, and it really just like made me fall in love with the author, and I was just so invested before I even started this, and maybe that was the problem. My expectations for this book might have just been a little too high. Okay, so as I was reading, I was like, this is exactly what I was expecting. It was just a ball of ridiculousness, but in the cutest and coziest and most comforting way. Like, I was enjoying myself. Like I said, even though it was very outlandish, I was still having a time. But then I realized that this was going to lean more on the side of like magical realism, and I didn't think that I would enjoy that. I've never really been big on magical realism, and the couple of instances that I have encountered it, I haven't really just like fully enjoyed. So that made me a little skeptical, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to push forward and just like not think too hard about it and just read and just see what happens. And I was struggling with it a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but turns out that didn't even end up being my biggest issue with this story. So Jessica has a best friend named Adrian, and Adrian is this very flamboyant character who, you know, says what he wants, does what he wants, wears what he wants, is very much that type of person. But he treated Jessica like she was a child. Like, he was very controlling and very annoying in the way that he was treating her. Jessica was the type of person that, you know, needed a little nudge to be more social, needed a little nudge to like get out of the house. She was a homebody who was a writer, so, you know, she didn't really have to leave her house if she didn't want to. So, you know, she did need that nudge to get out, be around people, be social. But it almost felt like Adrian felt like he was her parent. Like he was telling her she had to get on the dating app. You need to go do this. You're coming here. You're doing that. Why are you doing that? Like, it felt very much after a certain point, and it just turned me off so much because Adrian is such a, you know, large part of the story, but like after a certain point I was over him. And then I felt like this was very repetitive, and repetitive in the way that Jessica would say something and then she would say it again. And I'm like, girl, you just said that. Why do you feel the need to say it again? So then, as I was reading, Jessica was kind of giving me the ick, and I was getting a little annoyed and finding it hard to be team Jessica in this situation, because I'm also like, you're 35, and no, nobody has anything figured out ever, but the way she was acting, it kind of felt like she was like 20. I didn't like how her character was handled. And then I also had had, very interesting thoughts about Monique and Jessica together because in my brain, there are certain fundamental morals, qualities, and things that you cannot disagree on and be a successful couple. And they disagreed on a lot of very fundamental moral type things and just decided not to talk about it because that's gonna work, that yeah, yeah, let's build a relationship but leave out one of the major parts because we already know we don't agree on that. It's not gonna come back up later at all. Yeah, so that alone made it very hard for me to like even get into Monique and Jessica being a thing. So none of the romantic situations were working out for me in this book. And by the end of it, I was just like, why did I read this? So my rating for Dating Jessica Brown was unfortunately a 2 star, and no one is more upset than me because, like I said, I went into this thinking it was gonna really do it for me, and it was the opposite. Like I struggled through this only because I was still holding out hope that it was just gonna really do it for me, and it did not. So yeah, I do think, though, that I would be willing to try something else by this author. I'm just gonna go with not the story for me, and that's okay. That's fine. Not every story, not every book is going to work for you every time, and I'm okay with that. I'm still willing to give her a shot again. So, yeah, let's just go move on to the next thing. Alrighty, y'all, it's time to talk about our last book of our Black romance reading vlog, and that is Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. And again, another book. If you watched my February TBR, I was super, super hyped to pick this up. This was a 5 star prediction for me. Like I was very much like, yeah, she's gonna be the one to do it for me. So in Plus Size Player, we're following Nina Ford, who doesn't like to put all of her eggs in one basket. She works multiple jobs, she enjoys multiple hobbies, and she dates multiple men. In her 30 years of life, Nina has never come across a man who has all the things she's looking for. She's always been content rotating a few men in and out of her life to get her needs met, but when Russell Long, her designated fun guy, shows her that he's good for more than just thrills, it seems too good to be true. Nina finds herself in a predicament. And so, yeah, we got our girl Nina, and she is an amazing main character. Immediately, I knew she was going to be someone fun to watch, someone to root for, and I just clicked with her personality from jump. I feel like me and Nina would be friends, and we would be on the same type of vibe had we met before I got married. So yeah, Nina is my type of girl for real. I love her. So also our love interest Russell, we call him Russ, the fun guy, all the nicknames. He came in with this very intense energy, and I just, I was immediately a fan. Immediately a fan of his energy towards Nina, and I'm like, yeah, he's my favorite already. Like, I don't care about none of these other guys. Like, rest is gonna be it for me. And turns out me and Nina felt the same way, but I genuinely enjoyed his energy from jump, and I think he's not quite book boyfriend material, but he's an honorable mention. But we'll backtrack to the relationship because I definitely have a lot more to say about Russ and Nina. Let's talk about the other things going on in this book. So Nina is a fashion influencer. She, is blowing up on social media, doing things for the plus size girls, making it happen, showing them how, they can wear what they want, be confident, all the things. And so there is a lot of talk about, Nina's possible contract with a brand, what that looks like, what making money looks like as a fashion influencer and a content creator, and just how all of that really works. And I know that some people don't want to know about that, but I think this had a different edge to that trope for me because we're talking about a black plus size fashion creator, and that's definitely a different spin on it. And so to see how she was able to move through the industry was very interesting to me. I was here for it when I normally don't care for the whole influencer situation. Nina made me care. I was invested in Nina's career. So with that being said, let us get back to Russ and Nina, because Russ was really doing it for me. His intentionality, how down bad he was for Nina, but at the same time, he knew that Nina was dating other men and he didn't try to press her on it. He wasn't like making her feel some type of way about it. He knew he was in competition, but he also knew that there was no competition. And I ate that up. Like, yeah, I love that confidence. And he let Nina do her thing, and he saw her when she had time for him, and he played his part well. But he was also like, whenever you get done with this, like, it's us. Like, there is no anybody else. You're mine. You just may not have realized it yet. So I'm just gonna play my part until you realize it. And like, yeah, facts. Love that. So throughout this whole thing, I just was giggling and like blushing and like having the time of my life. And I just was very certain during the first part of this book that this was going to be a 5-star for me. And then we have our conflict come into play. And I'm not sure that I liked that direction change as much as I liked what was going on in the beginning. Okay, first of all, the whole reveal of the situation, I was flabbergasted. My flabber was gasted. And when I looked back and like thought about all the things, I was like, oh yeah, it kind of was in your face. But I was so involved in Russ and Nina's energy and situations that I wasn't even like picking up on the clues that I should have been picking up on where I could have seen this coming. But I thought that it was gonna go in one direction with that, but then it went in another, and I ain't liked it. I thought that very much made me not like Russ and Nina together, and more specifically Russ, because his energy took a whole like 180 turn. And no, because I need you to keep the same energy that you came in with. Like, that's what made me like you, Russ. And now you acting like this. Like, I didn't like how either of them handled the whole conflict situation. I did not. But I don't know, because it almost gave petty to a certain extent. And while I understood why each of them had the thoughts that they had and took the stance that they did on the conflict, I just didn't like it. I think we could have picked something else and a different direction to go in for this book that would have been more believable, or maybe like on brand with who we were introduced to from the beginning, if that makes any sense. And also, I love a spicy book. I love a spicy book. But Russ and Nina were some real horn dogs. Like, it felt like every other page, y'all just hunching. And then not only that, but y'all decide to do it in public. And not just once. It seemed like they were consistently out in public. And I get that there's some people's thing, but like, damn, chill out. Like, y'all are not kids. Y'all know this is not legal. Y'all know this is not safe. Chill the fuck out. And like, y'all also had bigger things at play here that, could have been ruined by somebody catching y'all. So, y'all can't control yourselves enough to get it in a private place. Yeah. So, if you can't tell, this ended up not being a 5-star for me. It was still a 4-star. a very solid 4 star. And Danielle Allen has a new fan in me. I love Nina. I love Russ. I had a great time reading this book. It did feel a little long to me once we got to the end, and I think it was just because the conflict I already wasn't a fan of, and then it felt like it was a little bit drawn out, and I was ready for it to wrap it up. And so, yeah, that's how we ended up at a 4 star. But I'm excited to read the other books in this series and continue on. But I don't know if anybody in this series is gonna be able to beat Russ and Nina, because they were a time. They are a couple, and they were a time for sure. So yeah, this is definitely the what am I trying to say? The star of this Black romance reading blog. And with all of that being said, it is time for us to wrap this up so I can go ahead and get out of your way. We read Love Under Contract, and that was a 4 star. We read The Marriage Narrative, a 3 star. Dating Jessica Brown, 2 star. And we ended off with Plus Size Player, also being a 4 star. So overall, we had a time. This was fun. I'm so happy that I did this, and I will definitely be doing it again at some point because Black romance is one of my favorite genres ever. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. Anything that you do to support me and my channel, friend, I greatly appreciate it. I hope you have the best day that you possibly can. Remember to take care of yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.